Borno State in recent times has not only been in the spotlight when it comes to rapid infrastructural development, it has also advanced in human capacity building and making the plight of the most vulnerable its major priority. Hello and welcome to Borno Restoration. I'm Jesse Tafida. Let's bring you up to speed with Borno today. This visit, led by the United Nations Under-Secretary and Emergency Relief Coordinator and other high-level UN delegation to the Government House Maiduguri, is to assess the humanitarian situation and how to sustain the relative peace in the state. As Borno is witnessing relative peace and many IDPs return to their places of abode, there is also marginal improvement in the economic situation.
In my team here.
And while meeting with the state governor, the UN Under-Secretary and Emergency Relief Coordinator assures of renewed commitment of the humanitarian community to continue to provide assistance to people in need. The state governor, on his part, appreciates the UN system for their support and urged them to carry on with interventions in official camps outside Maiduguri, where about 1 million people are in need of assistance.
Our vision in the humanitarian community that I lead is of a world where people in need have their needs met on time, with respect, with principle, but in full support of the society and culture and government within which they live. For years to come, of our support for your policies and your efforts to bring peace and prosperity back to Borno, where it belongs and where it has been.
I hope that this visit will give you an opportunity not only to visit IDP camps and see the situation for yourself, but also understand issues from the country and affected people's perspective. I therefore urge you to visit Muna camp, where in Maiduguri before you leave, being one of the worst camps in the world.
The state government reiterates its resolution to addressing the root causes of insurgency, which cut across infrastructural deficit and increasing rates of poverty.
This video released by ISWAP shows an onslaught by its fighters on Tukuru Yusuf Burata Institute for War and Peace, a research institute of the Nigerian Army University, BU. The management of the university had confirmed 2 civilians lost their lives in the incidents which occurred on January the 10th. A counter-operation by ground troops with the support of the air component prevented insurgents from further infiltrating the area. More than a week after the incident, the Defense Media Operations provides more details on the outcome of the onslaught.
Notably, ground troops with support of the air component foiled terrorists' attempted infiltration in Biu town in Borno State. During the encounter, troops neutralized scores of the terrorists, captured their gun trucks and other weapons.
Across the northeast, a total of 37 insurgents were killed while 17 others were taken alive.
Within this period, a total of 37 terrorist elements were neutralized. 17 of them, as well as 21 assorted arms, 117 rounds of different calibers of ammunition, while a total of 4 gun trucks were captured from the terrorists.
As more equipment are being inducted into the theater of operation, the troops are optimistic of holding the fort.
Yes, there are a lot of women. There are about 300 or 200 we have it, but they will come. We divided them into class. You know, we have first batch, second batch, third batch, like that. In the first batch, we have about 20 to 30 women. We train them for 3 months. Then after that, we'll call another batch to train. These skills, it can help them to yes, their families. We have different type of skills. We have another class for throw pillow and bed sheets. Even now we are planning for our another skill for saloon class. We have a saloon class too. Yes, and also we have a catering class. Yes, for cooking food, snacks. Yes.
Aisha Ali is a trainer at the center. She has been helping the government to train vulnerable women and girls in tailoring for more than 10 years. Aisha is excited to be part of the success stories of hundreds of women passing through this training facility.
I have been training people on part-time basis since 2007. I have trained about 3,000 women. I have a list of those I have trained. Some are married, while some are widows. They are enjoying the training. I have also derived a lot of benefits from the training. People should not joke with the workshop. I want to
I had a chat with the Director General of the State Emergency Management Agency, Yaba Okolo. She says the Borno State government has continued to raise the bar when it comes to addressing the plight of the most vulnerable in the state. Take a listen. Welcome to Borno Restoration, Ma. Humanitarian intervention has been central to Professor Babagana Zulum's 10 Pacts development agenda. How will you assess the situation so far as Borno is now enjoying relative peace?
When it comes to assessing the humanitarian intervention of the state governor, we rate that one almost 100%, if not more than that, because the rating stop, the bar is 100%. Because you see his passionate concern to see that now we have about 3 categorization. We have the remaining IDPs in some of the camps that we are yet to close, very few, at about 4 camps officially. Then we have the returnees across the border, those that are coming from Minau camp in Cameroon, and also in Boso from Niger Republic. And we also have the host community resettlement. So whichever case you are focusing on, you see that the governor is doing very well in terms of catering for their welfare and their well-being. So you can see he has already constituted a monitoring team comprising frontline MDS like MCRP, Ministry of Reconstruction, Resettlement and Rehabilitation, Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, to see how the civil authority, the traditional institution, and other symbol of authority, they are intact in the resettled community, so that they will give a sense of belonging, and also to build upon the resilience of the returnees, including other locally reintegration mechanisms and activities like social cohesion and peace building. Yes.
Now that some IDP camps have been closed, rehabilitation and resettlement is in top gear. Talk to us about the situation of the resettled IDPs.
The situation of the resettled IDPs, they are doing very well. Even before they go, some packages were given to them, and even before they go to the location identified, we have a lot of issues into consideration, especially the security, the safety of the returnees. And also we go through our checklist, which has different sectoral identification. For instance, when before we take the IDPs, there are a lot of activities that we conduct prior to the transportation or movement to the location. One very important one, we conduct a return intention survey. In the return intention survey, we sit down, we engage with them, sometimes according to different groups. Sometimes we engage the youth, sometimes we engage women, and sometimes the aged. As I told you, some of the aged, they are not willing to go back simply because they cannot trace their own original sort of chain of relationship, because during the displacement we have quite a number of separated aged persons, and also the children, unaccompanied and separated children. For instance, now we've done with all the other camps. Before we go to Gubio, like 2 weeks back I was in Gubio to know the actual number of separated and unaccompanied children, so that when they go back to the resettled community, they will not have issues. So these are some of the things. The education, those that are enrolled already into tertiary education, so when back, what happens to their education? So all these things we take into consideration, and when they go back, we also follow them to look at the critical sectors, the availability of the services, the availability of what we call secured environment, how secured is their return or resettled communities. So, so far so good. It's all the resettled communities, we don't have even issues of attacks since they've gone. For instance, we even have overwhelming surge in influx of people coming from captivity to those resettled communities. For instance, even the Ajiri that you see as small village and headquarters of MAPA, we were able to go and profile some of the villagers that came out of captivity, where we profiled almost 500 households. In Burma alone, we have such category close to 65,000 households. So you can see that we have a relative peace in resettled and return community, and the services are okay. We were able to give them the services that they are requiring from us. And for the humanitarian agency like NEMA, SEMA, what usually we do, where agricultural produce, the harvest is not that sufficient, you see the governor himself sometimes leading distribution activities. We go to them very openly, very frequently, to see that they don't lack anything. You know, it is not the population is so overwhelming, and the resources sometimes government alone cannot cover all the needs. The resources of government cannot cover all the needs, but government is trying very hard to see that we provide for them, and the complementarity from the partners is also excellent, because even some of the partners are also following up with their tools to resettle community, to do some basic profiling, to do some basic checking, especially whether we comply with the Kampala Convention and other UN guiding principles on return.
Okay. Now bring us up to speed the plan of SEMA this year vis-a-vis the state government resettlement drive and support to vulnerable people.
SEMA for 2022, you know, we've already developed our corporate plan. So we do things according to the corporate plan, because that document came out of as a result of the institutional strengthening, the needs gaps analysis of SEMA, and we are able to identify, even at that time, the document was developed around 2019. Even at that time, we were able to forecast that one day all these IDP camps will be closed. And when all these IDP camps were closed, so what happened to SEMA? So in the corporate plan and with the law, the reviewed one, that is 2017 SEMA law as amended, we were able to sit down and study the law carefully. And based on that law, we are able to develop the vision, mission, core values, and also other short, medium, and long-term plan for SEMA. And in all this document, especially the corporate plan, the centrality of strengthening the institution, that is the agency, were very clearly projected. And also in that line, we are able to train and build the capacity of the staff to understand that the agency commanded is to move out, or is to address, or especially situation of emergencies, either natural or man-made disaster, as soon as prompt as possible, very prompt, especially whatever happened, the different departments were able to strengthen their title, their nomenclature, what have you, to see that they can move into action promptly to save life. First is to save life. Then second is to give them relief and succor for victims or survivors of disaster, either human error or natural, that is happening. So based on that, even in 2021 projection, 2021, both financial and activity plan program, capacity building is number one for the staff. You have to strengthen the capacity of the staff, that they will be well equipped, especially in the area of search and rescue mission, in the area of providing relief services, in the area of conducting organized distributions of items and not bought items. Also in the areas, if possible, we want to strengthen that organization to have GIS, geographic information system in place, especially so that they can forecast. What is happening. It is very advanced technology, but it's part of our very ambitious plan.
Okay, now what sensitizing message do you have for the people of Borno State?
Now the season, especially fire outbreaks, is very rampant these days. So the message that I have for the people of the state is to educate no matter how little, to sensitize the people around them, sort of safe cooking practices. You know, our traditional method of cooking is exposing a lot of risks towards fire disaster, because they cook very closely to that local makeshift emergency shelters that we have in the camps and some of the informal settlements in the host communities. So this is message.
Director General State Emergency Management Agency, Abawa Kolo, thank you for your time on Borno Restoration.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Yes.
And that's our show today. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm Jessie Tofida. See you next time. Until then, bye-bye.